As with most Saturday nights, I was sent up to bed before the nightcap game on Hockey Night in Canada. The party largely dispersed at the end of the Red Wings game, yet continued among stragglers, and for a while I listened on the top step of the staircase to their conversation in the kitchen, the sounds of fresh beer tabs clicking, the stereo still humming. Then I secluded myself away in Mom and Dad's bedroom again, where the only other television set in the house was, and I turned it back on. Most of the nightcap games on Hockey Night in Canada pitted two Canadian teams against one another, usually from somewhere in the western provinces, Edmonton, Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg, or perhaps even in California. I marveled at the CBC interludes during the game, during which they panned to images of those great white northern towns, industrial smokestacks waving ribbons of smoke into the inky sky, rivers frozen over in vast mountainous landscapes. And I fell asleep watching from the floor, dreaming myself a little Canadian boy skating across a glossy lake under the northern lights. Patrick Waugh, for his part, made good on his threat. He had indeed played his last game in Montreal, 4 days after his embarrassment at the hands of the Red Wings. The Canadiens rashly dealt Waugh to Colorado in a lopsided trade that also included Montreal captain Mike Keane. There, Waugh joined another recent Detroit villain, Claude Lemieux, in what was the Avalanche's inaugural season. Emblematic of the Red Wings season cumulatively, the barnstorming at Montreal ignited the burners to Detroit's season. After meddling to a 5-5-2 start out of the gates in that 95-96 season, Detroit went 22-2 in November and the remainder of December, a streak that included the 11-1 rout at Montreal. Playing in their 70th season, a large numeral 70 appeared at center ice that season, with the winged wheel logo emblemized inside the zero, and the Red Wings gelled around the Russian 5 core, breaking out to a record-setting pace. En route to posting historic team win and goal totals, several players also celebrated a variety of individual milestones along the way. First, on January 17, 1996, Steve Yzerman scored his 500th career goal. It came in the second period of a 3-2 home win over Colorado. In doing so, Yzerman became only the second player in franchise history to reach that feat, the first since Gordie Howe, who scored his 500th way back in 1962. 3 nights later, in Boston, Chris Osgood appeared in his first NHL All-Star game, representing the Western Conference, along with teammates Sergei Fedorov, Nick Lidstrom, and Paul Coffey. With 5 All-Stars, including head coach Scotty Bowman, the Red Wings topped all other teams in terms of All-Star representation. How I wanted one of those purple Western Conference Osgood jerseys hung on display at Play Ball, the local sporting memorabilia store at which I bought my pennants, hockey pucks, and trading cards. Later in the season, in a March 6th matchup with soon-to-be departed Hartford, Osgood made national headlines when he became only the third goalie in NHL history to score a goal. On the month of February, Detroit went 11-2, outscoring their opponents 50-29 in that span, with Yzerman, Kozlov, and Fedorov all rapidly approaching 30 goals. They one-upped that in March by going 12-1-1, while outscoring the opposition 66-29, laying waste to the NHL. Towards the end of the regular season, the Detroit Free Press and Sports Center, My two primary sources of news outside of my dad and the St. Michael's boys began following the race for the most regular season wins in NHL history, as Detroit was on pace to break it. Coincidentally, Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls were likewise on pace to break the NBA's regular season win record, so the combined races made recurring storylines. In the NHL, the regular season wins record was 60, set by the 1976-77 Stanley Cup winning Montreal Canadiens, a team whose roster had included names Steve Shutt, Guy Lafleur, Jacques Lemaire, Ken Dryden, and Mario Tremblay. A 43-year-old Scotty Bowman had been the head coach. Ending the 95-96 regular season on a 4-game win streak, Detroit tied the record in their third-to-last game, beating Winnipeg at Joe Louis 5-2, then broke the record 2 nights later by taking care of Chicago 5-3. They finished the regular season at Dallas on April 14, 1996, a 5-1 thrashing that moved their record to 62, 13, and 7. As SportsCenter humorously illustrated, only the 64 and 18 Seattle Supersonics and the 72 and 10 Chicago Bulls surpassed Detroit's hockey win total of 62 that season. Detroit's President Trophy winning, NHL record-setting regular season resulted in a large haul of hardware to the Red Wings trophy case. Fedorov won the Frank J. Selke Trophy with 39 goals and a career-high 68 assists. Konstantinov won the NHL Plus-Minus Award at a whopping plus 60. Scotty Bowman won another Jack Adams Award for the league's Coach of the Year, and jointly Chris Osgood and Mike Vernon shared the William Jennings Trophy for the fewest goals against. Osgood, who won 39 games that season, finished second for the Vezina Trophy to Washington goaltender Jim Carey. Still, none of it meant a thing unless the Wings shook their playoff bugaboo.